Right now, you're sitting safely in your home. A warm room, comfortable, protected. You can see everything around you with ease. But 40,000 years ago, when the sun went down, your ancestors had no such luxury. Once darkness fell, there was no safe space. Fear was constant. So what did they do? They entered caves. They descended deep underground. And they began painting on walls that no one was ever meant to see. Why? Because they had discovered something that we've almost completely forgotten. Doesn't that sound strange? Why would anyone paint somewhere no one would ever see? And yet, that's exactly what ancient humans did. 40,000 years ago inside Chauvet Cave, they left handprints, they painted animals, and countless other figures. No one was supposed to see them. For more than 30,000 years, no one did. So why did they make them? The answer begins with understanding who ancient humans really were. They weren't just people. They were people who lived with darkness, people who survived by hunting, people who witnessed death almost every day. And for everything that carried real risk, they developed a system. So what was that system? Scientists have proposed three main theories, but they all point to the same question. If no one was ever going to see them, why go deep into a cave and paint in the dark? Because those paintings were never meant for other people. They were meant for the people who made them. So what was this system? Scientists explain it in three different ways. Each theory focuses on a different part of ancient human life. The oldest theory is hunting magic. You can probably guess how ancient humans hunted. The dangerous way. 40,000 years ago near Chauvet Cave, someone set out to hunt a horse, or a mammoth, or even a lion. Unbelievable. And of course, it could take hours. There was noise. There was blood. And more often than not, it ended in failure. If you failed, you went hungry. If you were injured, you died. This wasn't just about finding food. It was about survival. So ancient humans needed a way to prepare. They prepared by drawing. As they entered a cave and painted an animal on the wall, their brains were rehearsing the hunt. Muscle memory was forming. Fear was turning into focus. Think about it. Tomorrow you'll come face to face with a real lion. But today, you've already drawn that lion on the cave wall. In a way, you've already begun preparing yourself. This was ancient psychology in action. But wait, there's another theory. And this theory is even stranger than the first. Shamanism. Ancient humans weren't just drawing to prepare. They were doing something else. They were entering trance states. 40,000 years ago, ancient humans may have used hallucinogenic plants, perhaps as a tea, perhaps from plants that no longer exist. The exact substances are still a mystery, but the effect is clear. You enter a dark cave. Your torch barely lights the walls. Everything around you fades into darkness. You can barely see. Then, the plant begins to take effect. You see spirals, maybe animals, maybe human-like figures, maybe strange human-animal hybrids. It feels as if you've stepped into another world. And here's the most remarkable part. These weren't believed to be random hallucinations. Scientists have studied this phenomenon. People today, when they enter altered states of consciousness, often report seeing remarkably similar patterns. Spirals, grids, human-animal hybrids, the same images, and ancient humans painted those very images on cave walls. Why? Because they believed what they were seeing was a map of the spirit world. The cave wasn't just a place, it was a doorway to an unseen world, and ancient humans believed they knew how to open that door. But that's still not the whole story. There's a third theory, and it may be the most important one of all. Ancient humans didn't enter these caves alone. They were never alone. They hunted together, faced the darkness together, faced death together. So they entered the caves together too, as a tribe. And that brings us to the third theory, social ritual. When they entered the cave, everyone had a role. One person painted the animals. Another entered a meditative or trance-like state. But in the end, they all did the same thing. They placed a hand against the wall. They blew pigment around it, and they left a handprint. And do you know the most remarkable part? Some caves were revisited for centuries. People kept returning to the exact same spot. Hundreds of handprints, layer upon layer. Your grandfather's hand, your father's hand, your hand, the same place, the same wall. Generation after generation came back, as if they were saying, "We are here. This works. This is where we belong." And every time someone left a handprint, something happened. The brain received a message. You are not alone. Others prepared the way before you. Others will follow after you. This wasn't just art. It was belonging. Ancient humans understood something important. If you hunted alone, you were more likely to die. If you entered a trance alone, you could lose yourself. If you lived alone, you belonged nowhere. But within a tribe, everything changed. You were prepared. You felt connected to something greater. You knew where you belonged. Three things at the same time, in the same cave. And that system worked so well, it endured for 40,000 years, passed down from one generation to the next. Then, in little more than 150 years, it disappeared, and most of us don't even realize what we lost. What happened when all three layers came together? Imagine this: Chauvet Cave, 32,000 years ago. The middle of the night. The tribe descends into the cave. Torchlight flickers. The walls disappear into darkness. You breathe in the cold air. One person begins to paint. A horse, a lion. The hand follows each line. It trembles slightly. Muscle memory begins to form. Every movement has a purpose. The preparation has begun. At the same time, someone else enters a meditative trance-like state. Their eyes close. The walls seem to breathe. Spirals, strange figures, human-animal hybrids. A doorway to the spirit world begins to open. Their mind is somewhere else. And at that very moment, everyone places a hand against the wall. You press your palm against the stone. You blow pigment around it. You leave your handprint behind. All of this happens on the same night. One ritual, practical preparation, spiritual transformation, social connection, all at once. And when you leave that ritual, you're no longer the same person. Your mind reconnects with your body. Your body is prepared. Your spirit is awakened. And you stand among your tribe. Now you know who you are, where you belong, what you're preparing for. Ancient humans understood this. These three elements work together. The painting prepared you. The trance transformed you. The handprint made you part of the tribe. You hunted more effectively. You raised children. You survived. This system was so powerful. It endured for 40,000 years, passed from one generation to the next. Through every hunt, every dark night, every journey into the cave. Ancient humans had no concept of psychology, but they understood something just as important: how the mind works, how fear can be managed, how the spirit can be awakened, how communities are built, and how all of those things fit together. But then, about 150 years ago, everything changed. We forgot the system. We forgot the system. Then came electric light, electricity, speed, and everything was pulled apart. Therapy, yoga, social media, each offers something, but none offers the whole. Now we're left feeling disconnected, unprepared, disconnected from something greater, unsure where we truly belong. And your body knows it. Your DNA remembers. It just doesn't know where to look anymore. But here's the important part. The system never died. It was only buried. It's still there. You can begin today. One ritual, one evening. Write, connect, share. Ancient humans practiced this for 40,000 years. You can begin tonight because your body remembers. And now, maybe you can remember too.